in 1981, after losing the first test match of the Ashes series, the Gorilla was replaced as England captain. In come Mike Beerley. He was appointed solely on his ability to lead men and to motivate men. Mike Beerley was seen as a good man manager with astute leadership quality. 15 years later, 1994, New Zealand had a controversial tour of South Africa. And later, that same year, in their centenary anniversary of Test cricket, the team unraveled. They went for Lee German. He had never played Test cricket in his life. But the Canterbury team that he leads in the New Zealand first-class competition has been seen as the best first-class team in the history of New Zealand cricket. And so a man with no test experience, not a single test match, ended playing his first test match as captain for New Zealand. He was a wicket-keeper batsman. His test average, 21.33. And so there have been occasions in the past where players who really cannot make the team as a top-line batsman or a top-line bowler have been appointed captain solely on the basis of the ability to lead. Lee German and Mike Beerley were known good captains. They have demonstrated it in their first-class season. As I said, Lee German for Canterbury, Mike Beerley for Middlesex, his University of Cambridge. He is also the captain when West Indies beat England in the 1979 ODI World Cup final. These two men, despite their poor cricket record, I repeat, Beerley 22.88, Lee German 21.33, were seen and are known and are acceptable as great captains. What does Roston Chase has to show as a good captain? Hello everyone and welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. This is the Takedown as I welcome Dwight Chateau and Basil Butcher to the show. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning, Chateau. Good morning to your viewers. Thank you for having me again.
Hey, morning, Carlton. Morning, Basil. Morning to all the viewers and listeners to the Cricket Forum. Really nice being here.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you being here also. Roston Chase, in his 49th Test match for the West Indies, averages 26.33. That means he's an ordinary batsman. He's not one of the 6 top batsmen in the region. Although we have poor quality, but that average doesn't make him one of our 6 top best batsmen. His strike rate as a bowler is 79.9. That means it is taking him 80 deliveries to get a wicket. But when you look at Roston Chase's last 10 test matches, he averages 16.95 with the bat, passing 50 on only 2 occasions. In fact, apart from those 2 occasions, he passed 30 on the once. Now, when you look at his performance with the ball, he has a strike rate of 105. It means, therefore, that Roston Chase, on average, has to bowl 105 deliveries in Test cricket before he gets a wicket. Nonetheless, Cricket West Indies saw it fit to appoint Roston Chase as the captain. I have shown you experience in the past where Lee German and Mike Beerley were not able to command a place in their respective test team. However, because of their leadership quality known I should have put the word known leadership quality. Because up to this day, especially by the Englishmen, they see Mike Beerley as one of the greatest captain of all times. He's widely credited for England coming from behind to win that Ashes in 1981, which is now known as the Botham Ashes 3-1. Who can forget that Sunday afternoon in the fourth test when Australia chasing 151 to win, and Ian Botham decided that he's not going to bowl because 4 days earlier, Princess Diana and Prince Charles got married, and he decided he will not bowl in the test. But Mike Beerley convinced the Gorilla to bowl. The result, 5 wickets for 1 run. England won the match and go on to win the Ashes 3-1. Gentlemen, the question to you this morning, does Roston Chase has the pedigree of a Mike Beerley or a Lee German to command a place in this West Indies team without having the numbers to be a sure pick?
I mean, I don't think Lee German is a good is a good choice for you. He was a disaster as a test captain. So this notion, because what he did at Canterbury, I think I remember Lee German. I saw him as captain. He was a joke as a test captain. It was an absolute disaster for New Zealand picking him to be captain. So we can't juxtapose that to Chase. Chase has had more success in test cricket. Uh, has had enough success in test cricket to some of his contemporaries who became captain. So I think this is a little stretch in terms of the Chase. Now, in terms of Chase leadership, you will talk to the people around Barbados where he has captained occasionally, and they would say he was very successful when he captained Barbados. Chase also has been entrusted in the past to captain the West Indies white ball teams. So we have seen his leadership in those forums. And most importantly, we are not privy to the behind the scenes things, characteristics that would be seen behind the scenes in terms of his leadership, because from looking outside in, Chase seems to be a very quiet person. He doesn't make a lot of noise and all those various things. Very temperate individual. So I think you're knocking Chase a little hard there. But I think the Lee German comparison is not appropriate here at all.
Let me make 2 points to Basil quickly. One, at no time did I say that Lee German was a great captain. But I'll ask you did I say he was a great test captain? However, the entire New Zealand knew that he had captaincy pedigree to what he had done with a Canterbury team that was at the bottom of the first class league, and a lot of senior players. In fact, he was the youngest member of that team, and he was able to mold that team into what many considers that Canterbury team from the early 90s to the mid 90s as the greatest New Zealand first class team of all time. So the point I was making about Lee German was that before he became captain of New Zealand, he had demonstrated the pedigree of a good leader. The second thing I want to ask you, Basil, is this. Remind me of one occasion when Lee German lose a match for New Zealand when they were in a winning position. Because only then, if you can remind me of those occasions, can you say he was a poor captain? And the third point here, Basil, what is it that I have said about Roston Chase that are not factual?
You haven't said anything about Roston Chase because number one, the folks who are batting in the middle order for the West Indies are all 20-something average batters. So to say his batting average, to juxtapose with them and to make that a reason why he can't make the team is nonsense. Secondly, he has more test hundreds in his career than all of them put together. So again, you cannot say he cannot be in the team. Thirdly, when Sinclair could play for the West Indies and he is not on the team, and you telling me that he can't make the team, you gotta be kidding me. Fourthly, Lee German played captain 12 test matches. New Zealand won one. The same thing, y'all, the same fire y'all get for um Brathwaite. Y'all just want to call Brathwaite all kind of things, and I like to always point out to y'all. Please tell me when Brathwaite lost the test match for West Indies tactically.
Well, I don't
One
need
of
to
y'all
say
talk
anything
to.
to you, Basil, because you made the point, because that's the same question I'm asking you. Please tell me
No, no,
when
no, no,
German
no, no.
lost a match for New
I
Zealand.
am bringing it up to you because you do not use that yardstick for Brathwaite. You are being hypocritical.
You use that yardstick for Brathwaite. So I'm
No,
asking
no, no,
you,
no, 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 no,
and
no.
I'm also making the
You,
point to you,
you,
Basil, that at
no,
no
no, no,
time
no, 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 no. I am not
Brathwaite.
gonna let you get away with that because you brought that up. And when I brought that up regarding Brathwaite, you don't want to say anything about it.
No, but
Now
I'm
you bring it up
asking,
with the German to try to make a point to discredit Chase, which is absolutely ridiculous.
what did I say, Basil, that discredit Chase? What did I say about Chase that is not true?
Hold on,
What did
hold
I say
on, hold
about
on,
Chase?
hold on. Your inference of somebody German was this great first class captain and all this stuff. This
But
big
was
thing,
he a great
leadership.
first class captain? Was he the youngest member of the Canterbury team?
No,
What is
no,
Canterbury considered
no,
one of
no,
the greatest team in New
no.
Zealand? The
But,
first
but,
class
but,
team in
but,
New Zealand.
but you
Was
have
he
not.
the one that molded that Canterbury team?
You don't know that. You don't know that. You do not know that he
How you
molded
mean
the
I
team.
don't know that the records is there? Persons talk about it all the while about
Come
this man.
on, man. Come
Was
on,
he the
man.
youngest member of the team? That's fact. Do the
Yeah,
fact check.
I know about
You
that.
don't know that
But
he
here,
was the youngest member of the team.
it's
He
the
was not
same thing.
the team.
It's the
What
same
did I
thing.
say wrong about Chase? What
It's the
did I
same
say
thing.
wrong about Chase?
Hold on. It's the same thing. Like when Leon Johnson win all them bloody titles with Guyana in our stupid substandard first class. That means that he should be West Indies captain
So what is it
because
that
the
we are
joke. New
using to
Zealand
judge
cricket was a
Chase?
joke. New
What is
Zealand
it that
cricket
we
was
are
a
using to
joke.
judge Chase? What is it that we are using to judge Chase? Isn't this our
Shit.
first class season that we are using? When has he captain a team? How many persons here can come
Chase.
forward and say that Chase have good pedigree as captain? That's the
Chase.
question I'm asking. We
I
know
said
that
to you,
Lee
yes.
has
I
good
said to
pedigree
you,
as
yes.
captain.
I
We know
said to you,
that Lee German have good
no,
pedigree
no,
as
no, no,
captain.
no. Hold on. Did we know Clive had good pedigree as captain? He captained Ghana 4 times.
We can all use if, buts, and maybe.
No,
We
no,
know
no, no.
that
I am
that
debunking
German
your.
is a good captain
I
before he
am debunking. I am
knew that
debunking
Mike Beard was a
our
good
greatest,
captain before
our
he
great,
came back.
our greatest captain, Clive Wright, captain Guyana 4 times before he became Wesley's captain. So don't tell me about Lee German, right? Don't tell me about Lee German.
What's wrong with using leader? A matter of fact, the question that I asked now, let me go back because it appears that Basil get very heated here. The question that I
Yes,
asked,
yes.
simple question that I asked is that do Chase have the pedigree of these gentlemen? That was a simple question I asked. I pointed out that before Lee German took over the New Zealand team, he was widely accepted as the best captain in New Zealand because of the work that he has done with Canterbury. Fact. I also said that Mike Beerley, especially the Englishman, considered him to be one of the greatest captain of England of all time, and he's widely regarded as the man who helped England to turn around the 1981 Botham Ashes. Fact. And I'm asking, does
Here,
Roston Chase have the pedigree of these gentlemen? That's the simple thing I'm
well,
asking.
hold on. I think that is irrelevant because you can use that. Your argument would you put it up to Clive Lloyd. Clive Lloyd did not have that pedigree neither. He had 4 games as captain for Guyana.
No,
right? So I am.
Basil, wait. Clive Light had the pedigree because he demonstrated it. I am not here saying that Chase doesn't has the pedigree. I am asking a question. Does he has it? That's the
No,
simple
no, no,
question I'm
no,
asking.
no, no, no. Hold on, hold on. I am saying to you, at the point of select of Clive Lloyd's appointment, how would we did we know that he would become the greatest captain we ever had? He captained Guyana 4 times. Chase has more captaincy experience than Clive Lloyd had before Chase was appointed captain. Chase has captained Barbados. He has captained West Indies white ball teams. Clive never had that experience, but he turned out to be the greatest captain we had.
I never said that Chase doesn't has the experience. I asked a simple question.
Well,
Does
here,
he has the pedigree? You
hold
can either
on. I
disagree or
no
agree,
no.
Basil.
I for me, I don't give a damn about Bree German. I don't give a damn about Mike Brearley. They're not West Indies cricket. I am using West Indies cricket examples only. Right? New Zealand, in those days, New Zealand was a joke. Therefore, that season is a joke in compared to West Indies, right? So I don't need to compare Lee German, who won 1 Test match as a Test captain, out of the 12 that he captained. I am going to look at
Any of
examples
that is
from
as a
West
result
Indies.
of Lee German tactical incapabilities. Tell me one occasion where Lee German did something tactically wrong that cost New
I don't
Zealand.
know. I don't know because I didn't check it. I saw Lee German as captain in 1996. I went to a test series in the West Indies. There was nothing to write home about.
Well, but there's nothing also, you said there's nothing to write home about. That means that he was doing a good job. Over to you, though, Dwight. Welcome to the show, Dwight. That's a rollicking start. How you doing?
I was enjoying every minute of it. Listen,
You
my
hear,
own view.
Dwight, I don't
My
cut you,
own.
but you heard two great students of the game of cricket at work. Oh,
As I said, I was enjoying every minute of it. But my own view, this question about whether or not we think Roston Chase will translate, because that's essentially the question that you have asked. And you have put 2 examples before. We have seen in one captain who did well at the first class level, unable to translate, and another captain who people had high impressions of who was able to translate. And the question is, what do we think about Roston Chase? The simple answer is we don't know. We really don't
Exactly.
know. He may go
Exactly.
on to be the greatest West Indian captain that we have ever seen, or he may go on to flop. What I do know is this selection method, where we're taking someone who cannot command a place in the team, sticking them in the team, asking them to captain the team on the basis of captaincy credentials, is a system that we have seen fail more often than it has succeeded. And it is a method of selection that I don't agree with. I've looked and I've read at the selection criteria that the West Indies Cricket Board said that they used.
we'll come to it later, Dwight. I will put it on the
And
screen.
yeah, I know. And I personally believe that this thing of parachuting someone in, I'm not going to read from it now. I'll leave you to do that. This thing of parachuting someone in is a process that I personally believe is deeply flawed and raises the probability of that person failing. That's my own impressions.
Thank you very much, Dwight. Basil, any follow-up to what Dwight said?
No, I would say this. I agree with him. Nobody can predict what will happen, and also more than anything, especially West Indies today, we have a very poor test team. So the captain, you could bring Jesus Christ to captain this team, and it's not gonna guarantee success. So to be putting all of these things on top of the captain, to me is not a fair thing, right? You have to have good or great players to be a good captain, right? No matter how good your cricket mind, how good tactically sound, your players have to be good at executing consistently for you to be a successful test captain. I remember Mike Brearley. I saw Mike Brearley as the captain. I saw Mike Brearley. I think that might have been his fourth series as captain in 1977, because that's summer our family we spent in England, and they beat Australia. That was when Botham made his debut, right? Mike Brearley had a good team, a good English team, and he is not going to lose a game tactically, etc. But having the good players to execute, that brought the success of the Australia of the English team over Australia there in 1977, right? So we those are the two things that got to come together, and so whether Chase going to become a good captain or not is all going to depend on how well the players execute.
But aren't you contradicting yourself, Basil?
No, I'm not.
I just want to draw the comparison between what Basil said about the Mike Brearley team that he saw because he was in England, and that was a good team. And however, many West Indians, even West Indians, believe that was the same case with Clive Lloyd. You could just, because of the quality of the team, even if he makes a tactical error, the quality of that team will carry him through. Your thought, Dwight, you were saying something.
Yeah. Basil, aren't you contradicting yourself big time? Because what you have said basically is that you believe that so much should not be placed on the captain on winning. The bigger issue is the quality of the team. But aren't we eroding the quality of the team when we select a player with a batting average of 26, and in the last 10 test matches before he was dropped, had a batting average of less than 17, a bowling average that we can't speak of? Better you give me the ball and ask me to bowl than to give him the ball and ask him to bowl. And you stick such a player into the team. Aren't you eroding the quality of your team?
No, I'm not, because the team is full of same 20-something average batters.
No. Hold up. Who on the team is getting into the team while averaging 17? He was dropped for averaging 17 in his last.
Hold on. Well, let me tell you, Chato, let me just remind you. In the last 2 seasons, in our first class season, there has been no batter more dominant than Roston Chase. Roston Chase.
How many games? No. Stop. How many games did he play? No.
Chato.
When you game, no.
Chato, maybe you. Chato, you didn't let me finish. Maybe you.
Finish and then I'll eliminate you. Go ahead and finish.
Right. Maybe you. Chato, maybe your limited cricket knowledge. It will
go
take
ahead.
you.
I'm listening to you.
Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. Because today I'm fired up. With your limited cricket knowledge, you must got to see 10 games to see how Chase is dominant. If you had saw that inning in Trinidad, there was no batter in the entire tournament came close to him in making that first class bowling look like club bowling. That is what you want to see from an international player. He did the same thing again this year. Right? I don't have to see more than one game. We had guys make six. Let me finish. We had guys make 600 and 500 and how much runs? And when they go in the test match, they flopped. So I don't want to hear that. Chase could make the West Indies team with them 20-something average batters every day of the week.
Okay. So in the last 3 seasons, Roston Chase has played a grand total of 3 first-class games. This year, he played 2 games, 3 innings, and last year he played 1 innings. He didn't play the season before that. This year he averaged 58%. 58. He averaged 58 runs. But guess what? Most of that runs was made basically in one of the 3 matches. That one of the 3 innings that he played. The century that he made, I think against either combined campuses or West Indies A. One of those 2 sides. The year before, again, he rose up. He plays 1 innings, averages 127. 1 innings. And he made that against the Leeward Islands. Everybody else has to clock in around 10 innings per season. This player, no. This player rose up. He makes an average and you say, oh, geez, he's way better than the others. That's literally taking the thing out of context. That's like me asking Kavim Hodge to come in And watching him make that amazing century, I think it was against Barbados, where he was the only player who stood up for the Windward Islands and batted through that innings, and using that singular innings and saying, oh, this is the best person ever in West Indies cricket. What did he do for the rest of the season? He didn't bat that well. Let's Roston Chase do what others are asked to do. Let him bat for an entire season, and then let us look at his average and see if he's that dominant. You're unfair.
Chateau, it's obviously, again, as I said, you're limited in your understanding of cricket. Let me tell you something. Carl Hooper was picked in the West Indies team off for 1 inning in Barbados. And many others have done so over the history of West Indies cricket. When they go to you know what used to be the barometer, my friend? If you go to Barbados and you make 100 in Barbados, you could book your ticket into the West Indies team. So don't come tell me about whole season. You need to learn a bit about West Indies cricket history before you run your bloody mouth.
But Basil, listen to me. Listen, Basil.
Just do it 1 minute, Dwight. Basil, you mentioned Carl Hooper. But that 100 that Carl Hooper made in Barbados was like the closing of a circle, because he had done so well at the youth level for West Indies that everyone expected him to walk into the West Indies team. So he came into that match against Barbados with all of that expectation. So it was like a closing of a circle. It's not.
I don't agree with that. No. West Indies, I don't know if you had followed West Indies cricket closely, you would know that when you came to Barbados
hold on, Basil. What are you saying? That you don't know if I followed West Indies cricket?
No. These days, I am much older than you, you know. I am much older than you. I am talking. When I am talking about the time that I'm talking about is in the 70s into the early 80s. We're talking 40, 50 years ago, right? The one player that made 100 in Barbados during that period that did not get a West Indies pick is a guy from Guyana named Andrew Light. He was the exception. And many people say he got raw deal because he made... let me explain something to you. The reason why Barbados, making 100 in Barbados would look so highly, because generally the bowling attack that Barbados presented to you was virtually a test attack. So you were able to assess the quality of the batter.
Yes, Basil.
In Barbados.
We know that, Basil. But you see, Basil.
So my point to you is this. A 1 inning.
I want you to answer this question. Was Carl Hooper an outstanding West Indies age group cricketer? Was it the majority of the West Indian public who support the West Indies cricket team believes that Carl Hooper at the time was the next big thing for West Indies cricket?
Of course. And you know what?
Was that 100 in Barbados actually closed the circle?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Arrived?
Oh, no, it was part of the tradition. You went into Barbados and scored 100.
Whether it was a tradition or not, it closed the circle on the
but I am showing you why I'm disputing what you're saying may make some sense, etc. But what I'm showing you, that had been traditionally an assessment tool for years before Carl Hooper.
That's right, close the circle. Because
but here, if Carl Hooper made that 100 in Trinidad, let me just make it quickly. Brian Lara.
In all fairness, do I need to talk, Basil?
Yeah, if I may for a minute. Basil, you don't want to admit it, but the way that poor teams become better is by establishing clear standards, and those standards are normally higher than where they are right now. I don't know of any system of bringing about excellence that involves embracing mediocrity. I don't know of it. This thing of telling me that, oh, all the players are only averaging 26, so there's nothing wrong if we're bringing a mediocre batsman because he's averaging what all the other players are. That system is designed to fail. It is designed to fail. We don't reason like that. Our situation here, whether we want to laugh at regional cricket or not, it is the system that we have. It's a part of the performance metric that we have. And we have heard suggestions by Miles Bascom to find ways of improving. They'll take a deeper look on the quality of the attack that the runs are made against. They'll look at how the batsmen deal with different circumstances and all of that. And I applaud that sort of situation. See? But this suggestion that you're bringing here, where you are thinking that a player is going to play one innings and that's it, he doesn't need to do anything else, while others have the greater task of maybe playing 6-7 matches for the regional season. Some of them putting up 12 innings, and this player just puts up an innings and you mark him as the best player in the region. That approach is designed to fail, and it undermines everything that we're doing here in regional cricket. That's all I'm saying.
No, Chato.
What on the Chase issue, as you rightly pointed out, Dwight. And the thing about it again, I was not here to say whether Chase deserves his spot in the team or not. From my point of view, categorically, no. I also want to make the point, I would not have selected Chase as the captain. Thirdly, and very importantly, without a shadow of a doubt, without no compromise and no hesitation, I am going to support Roston Chase as captain of the West Indies team. However, not because I am supporting him as captain of the West Indies team, it's a separate issue to voice my opinion about what I think about the selection. So I am the one who is not intelligent enough to understand that supporting Roston Chase 100% and voicing my opinion on what I thought about his selection are two separate things. I'm sorry, but I can't help you. Just to the numbers, he made 122 against the combined colleges and campuses. He selected that game specifically. When he played against Trinidad, he made, I think, 41 and 11, and he got no wicket. So when he played against a good team, the team that came second in the tournament, the true Roston Chase showed up. Now, Basil, over to you.
I want to point out to Chato because when I found out Chato was a civil engineer, I now understand the way he thinks, right? Because nuance don't come to Chato. Number one, Brian Lara made 92, came into the game against Barbados in Trinidad. And this is for you too, Mr. Carlton. Trinidad under pressure. And this little boy, Brian Lara, walked to the wicket against Malcolm Marshall and Joel Garner, two test bowlers, and made 92. That innings is still spoken about to this day. Yet, and Brian Lara was more prolific in youth cricket than Carl Hooper. He did not get into the West Indies team after that inning. So this closing the circle thing you try to tell me, Carlton, is for the boards. As I said to you, Barbados, when you go into Barbados, historically, and you come up with the goods as a batsman, you booked your ticket to the West Indies team. That is not me giving an opinion. That is a historical fact. Since you've been talking about fact, and I said you one batsman during that time who did that did not get good.
We heard that already. And we need to end the show within an hour, and we're almost 35 minutes, and we don't read any comments yet, and they are piling up. Our listeners soon start to quarrel. However, Basil, before I move on to the nitty-gritty of the selection and what Cricket West Indies said, is that 92 is not 100. 92 is two figures, 100 is three figures. So here we go, gentlemen. So that was the announcement. But here was Cricket West Indies here now. They began this process with a short list of candidates based on these following factors. Test experience. Now, Dwight, you would recall that last week I named the 6 players. You all know them by now. Warrican, Chase, who became captain, Warrican vice captain, Imlach. We saw, who are the other 3? Greaves, John Campbell, and one more. You know the 6 by now.
That's Silver.
That's Silver. 1, test experience. How many of those players in that 6 would you consider with test experience to be considered for such a role?
Clearly the Silver and Chase would be on the top of the board where test experience.
Okay.
Is concerned.
Basil, how many of those players demonstrated leadership qualities that you can say you can convince majority of us, because you'll never be able to convince all of us. So majority of us that person demonstrated leadership quality.
Chase, Imlach, what's the boy name? The other guy, the Silver. Those 3.
But last week, Basil, you said that John Campbell have demonstrated.
Sorry. And John Campbell. Sorry, my bad. And John Campbell.
Oh, okay. So is it 4 you have or 3?
No, 4. The 4 guys who were captains for the various territories at times. Chase as captain Barbados before, as well as West Indies.
Okay. What about captaincy credentials?
Oh, sorry.
And I find captain's credentials to be such a interesting term because it's sort of wide and vague. But I guess they're saying someone who has an aura about him and has respect within the team and is a part of the leadership, the senior leadership within the team. For that, I mean, clearly you would have Chase, you would have John Campbell, you would have the Silver, you would have Imlach. Most definitely. You'd also have Greaves going into that as well, because Greaves has captain, I think he was a best of the best team that played a touring team. He was the captain of that team and stuff. So you would think that those 5 players definitely show what they call captaincy credentials. And they must have started for Warrican because that must have been the metric that got him into this thing, even though I didn't know of him having captaincy credentials. But clearly they thought that he had captain's credentials because none of the other metrics would have put him in this thing.
So Basil, according to that last statement that Dwight made, is it that you don't necessarily have to satisfy all these 3 credentials, but you just have to satisfy 1 to be a part of the interview?
From what I understand, Warrican never even captained his club team. So having seen him in a role as a captain, that's what I would call captaincy credentials. Seeing somebody in the role of the captain so you can make an assessment of them in that role. That's where the captaincy credentials would come from. And from what my understanding, Roston Chase has never even captained his club team. So obviously that would mean that he doesn't score. He would score a 0 on that category.
No. These are the 3. These are the 3 criterions that they came up with a short listener. These aren't the 6 criterion that they use to score them. These are the 3 that they use.
I understand that. That's why I said he would get a 0 when it comes to captaincy credentials.
Okay, I understand.
This was the start of the process.
Yeah. So my apologies for Warrican. I think it's number 2, leadership qualities, that would have gotten him rather than captaincy.
Yeah, probably it's probably leadership qualities. And those things, me, you, or Carton wouldn't know because we're not in the inner circle, the settings to see him exhibiting those things, right? So a lot of times those qualities you often see them coming out if one is not in the captaincy role, etc. Is behind closed doors that would see them up close, would see those kinds of things, not we the spectators.
Yes, of course, I agree with that. Now, each candidate went through a detailed assessment process. The final recommendation was based on a weighted scoring system across 6 key areas: leadership, respect within the team, cricket knowledge, personal conduct, media and communication skill, psychometric evaluation. Do I take it over?
My own view of this process, or what? Tell me exactly where you want me to
Yeah,
go. Because
your view of the process. Your view of the process.
I personally believe that this was a process designed to put a player like Roston Chase into the job. I mean, I can't think of anything else. They claim that this thing was a database, a data-driven process. And what I know about data is that you go out and you collect raw data. Where in all of this are we collecting any raw data? Where's the raw data? Maybe the psychometric analysis to some extent, but leadership, that's a subjective assessment. Respect within the team, subjective. Cricket knowledge, your own subjective. Personal conduct, again, subjective to a great extent. Media and all of these are subjective stuff. You are asking people, these 3 guys, to put a score to it, and they're basically lining this thing up for the person that they want. But bigger than that, nowhere in this thing are they assessing player performance at a test level, or even player performance at a first class level, or even the player's form. None of that, which I think is huge, important. Did they even say, we're going to even look at this thing and give it a 10% weighting? So you are looking at Roston Chase, whose record is dismal of late, in terms of, we mentioned it, averaging less than 17 just before he was dropped, has not even thought it important enough to dedicate a season of first-class cricket to show that he's serious about going back and playing first class, to play test cricket. And you are going to remove the biggest impediment to his selection as test captain and then tell us that you came out with a data-driven objective metric to try to assess West Indies captain. That's foolishness, man. That was designed to give Chase the captaincy.
Basil, that's a very solid point there that Dwight is making, and I want to hear your counteraction to that. Because in picking the West Indies cricket team, these metrics, which I would consider that it is good to be looking at these things, and when I look at media and communication skills, I don't know why that is there. Cricket West Indies have so many media officers. Is it that they don't trust these media officers? I don't know. So to train and produce persons who can really assess and adapt on their feet. However, isn't Dwight correct, Basil, that the one item that should have carried more weight than all of these is the player ability to make the team?
Firstly, I didn't need any of this West Indies thing, and I made Roston Chase my choice based on logical cricket um, scenarios. I made my decision about him being the captain based on that. None of this. I didn't need all of this for me to make that decision. When I looked at all the candidates out there, prospective candidates. So in terms of this, I feel, and this is my view, this is my opinion now. Um, West Indies, the coach Sammy wanted Chase from the onset. And as a result, they couldn't defend a guy who had not played Test cricket for 2 years and had a very ordinary Test record as a batsman to now bring him in to be captain. So they had to come up with a process that they can now show to the public and say, look, we had a very exhaustive process in which we evaluated all these prospective candidates so they can hide behind this in choosing Chase, who was Sammy's pick all the way, because there was not such a process when Shea Hope was made T20 captain, right? So now people clamoring, and there was question mark questions in regard that. And then on top of that, here the same West Indies board or Sammy wanted to make Shea Hope the test captain, who had not played for 5 years in test cricket, right? So in my view, this was a big smoke screen to make sure that Sammy's pick will get through, and there will not be the clamor, because they would say we had a process.
Thank you very much.
You realize,
you're going to speak next, Dwight. You're going to speak next.
Sure.
Coming to you. And why I said that is that, Dwight, last week at the end of the show, Basil and I told you that West Indies wanted Shea Hope to be the captain, and Shea Hope declined it. The question, you will react to that now that it is now confirmed that he declined the captaincy and the point that you were making. Go ahead.
All right. Let me start by talking about what Basil said. I mean, most of what Basil said, I totally agree. Of course, you know that we have to disregard his first part of applauding himself of being able to select Roston Chase and saying, oh, he had great cricket knowledge. Remember, listeners, remember, this was the first man when I came on here and I said that Brathwaite needs to step down as captain. He was defending Brathwaite right to the hilt, right up onto the edge. He was defending Brathwaite. When it was clear to people like me and Carlton that Brathwaite was done. Piece of ham, take him out of the oven, he's done. This man was there still in Brathwaite's corner, telling us, who are we going to select? There's nobody. No, we need to continue to hang near Brathwaite. And then Brathwaite went on tour. Brathwaite went on tour and did the unthinkable in the middle of a tour with forces against us, with our side being down and needing to rally and rise to the occasion against Pakistan. He phoned into the president of the West Indies Cricket Board to tell him that at the end of the tour he's resigning. Just the ultimate act of a coward. You can't do that. Stand up, stand your ground, fighter. When you come back a yard, we sit down and we have a conversation. All right, but that was Basil's choice. But let's get into the rest of the stuff that he's saying. He's 100% right. That system that they thought of, not only did it neatly exclude the areas that Chase was weak in, but it was also weighted. What do I mean when I say it's weighted? They could have given the psychometric test 1% and given leadership 99% and give everything else maybe 98% and given everything else a percentage of a percentage. I'm being extreme, but I'm saying it is weighted. They're the ones determining the weight. What will they give greatest weight to? And this thing, I'm saying straight, was weighted towards Roston Chase. It's as simple as that. Zim, now to your question about Shea Hope. I think Shea Hope, I have a newfound respect for Shea Hope. Shea Hope looked around, recognized what the outcry would have been if he was made test captain, recognized what his form was, remembered that on occasions he was asked to come back and play test cricket. I think most notably when we went to Australia with a very inexperienced side and he turned us down. And Shea Hope recognized what the backlash was and smartly declined. Very smart man. Because there is no way that would have accepted Shea Hope as the captain of the test team. We would have blocked roads. Simple.
A very short response, please.
Can I clarify? Firstly, I never was in Brathwaite's corner. My question to all asunder was simply this. Can you point out to me where Brathwaite's captaincy cost West Indies a test match? That was always my question. I was never in Brathwaite's corner. And if you interpret that as me being in Brathwaite's corner, I am guilty as charged. I am guilty as charged.
We're gonna
Well,
clear the tape.
it's the same way I'm guilty as charged, Basil, if you interpret what I said to me that German was a great test captain. Well, I'm guilty as charged too.
No, we have the tape on that. He's guilty as charged.
You could roll the tape because I know what my position was on Bradley all the time.
Okay, gentlemen, and you would have heard me said on a number of occasions that the instrument that is used to measure and how they score each item, we need to see that instrument. We need to see the instrument as a matter of public disclosure. We need to see the instrument. We just don't need to know the items that are on the instrument, but we need to see the detailed instrument and how many marks attached to each. So, Cricket West Indies is making this disclosure. I am saying to Cricket West Indies, you can't make a halfway disclosure. You have to go full and let us have the instrument. And because by providing that instrument to the public, you now let us believe in you more. We believe in you, Cricket West Indies. We believe that you have the best interest of West Indies cricket at heart. I do, but just go further. Don't cut it off halfway. Because if you cut it off halfway, it looks like you are being disrespectful and we are just giving these people the crop, but they are not allowed to sit at the table. So give us the full instrument that you use to measure interviews, Cricket West Indies.
So, Carlton,
the next thing that we must point out, though, is that Cricket West Indies said that going forward, this process will be used to choose future captains. You agree with that 100%, Basil, don't you?
I do not agree with it. And Sir Carlton, what you're asking there, we all know is going to be a very, very tall order. You know the poor media relations of West Indies. These guys who are running the cricket department, they would not reveal that because we'll get to see clear as day how all of them are a set of incompetence. You know what I mean?
No, Basil, I disagree with you. And let me say that. I shouldn't say disagree. I do not necessarily agree with you because if they release those instruments, we may well see how astute they are. We may well see how brilliant they are.
That's true.
What a good job that they're doing.
I take that back. We may well see either side. We may see whether or not they are astute or whether they are not. So I must be fair. We will get, what I should say, we will have a full body of evidence that rather than speculating, we will be able to come to a conclusion with all the information rather than a piecemeal of the information. I take back my earlier comment.
Do you agree that going forward that West Indies should continue to use this process? I know your answer, but please tell us why.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no way I can rest on a system that is driven by just opinions and a subjective assessment. Absolutely not. Listen, there are lots of ways in which this thing can be improved. Number one, player performance within the team that has to be a criteria. That has to be one of the criteria. That has to be a criterion. There's no doubt about that. But apart from that, and this will go back to the whole vice captaincy foolishness. We can collect real life data on these players up to the time that before they're selected as captain. We could have a system where whoever the captain of the team is, from occasion he may ask so and so to take charge of the team, whether he's off injured or he's off the field for a session or whatever the situation, or for a period of time, whatever the situation is. And then there could be live assessment in how the player handles himself in the role as captain. He's not captain of the team. He's just asked to step into the role, and you collect that sort of data on the player. And then when it is time for to do an assessment, then you can rest on something like that. but there's nothing here where there's any live data. This data-driven process has no data. That's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Chato, I must commend you. I must commend you because I have suggested a similar process for the vice captaincy. I was saying I do not believe in us naming a vice captain, a permanent vice captain. A vice captain, in my view, could be named match to match or series to
Exactly.
series. So
I agree.
we will get a true chance to expose some of these upcoming guys in leadership positions that we can actually see. Because at the end of the day, you gotta see what somebody gonna do on the field, not what tests they are, answer questions, interview, etc. In the heat of the battle is where you want to assess somebody leadership skills, not sitting across from them.
Thank you
Excellent
very
point.
much.
Excellent
Yes.
point.
However, Basil, and you
Mhm.
guys know that I'm a conspirator. I come up with these weird theories. My audience and so know that my brain work different sometimes. And I have no fact of what I'm saying here. No
Mhm.
evidence.
Mhm.
We, however, have heard leak information that Jomel Warrican scored the highest in the interview. We have heard that leak information. We don't
Yeah,
know if it's true.
we don't know if it's true. It's true.
But here's a
Exactly.
conspiracy theory now. As a compromise, you have to give Warrican something because, in fact, they do not want Warrican to be the captain. They know that Warrican is no captaincy material. But to
Mhm.
circumvent the fact that he scored the highest, you have now to name him vice captain because if that never happened, we could have another controversy. That's just my conspiracy theory. What do you think, Dwight Chateau?
It is a theory. but listen. Remind me again, how old is Warrican?
32.
Yeah, I don't understand if let me be fair. Because in the history of West Indies captains, we have to acknowledge that being the vice captain doesn't automatically project you to being captain. We have seen that with players
Correct.
before. All
Correct.
right.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So chances I don't want to make too much of it. But I was quite surprised when I heard that Warrican was the vice captain. But I also need to be fair. Of all these players, Warrican is chances are the only one most assured of being selected into that team. Warrican is the player with the best team performance of all those players that's up there. Not that Silva, not Imlak, not John Campbell, not Chase, not Greaves. That best player in that set is Warrican. So if we want to be fair to the board, you can, and if you want to look at the history of people like Graham Smith or anybody else who could command a spot and became captain without a lot of experience behind their name, I can't really knock the selection of Warrican to senior leadership as hard. I mean, I can't say I don't believe in the concept of a vice captain. I'm with Basil right there. I think that's a game by game selection. I think that's a thing that you avoid so that you don't create any sort of sense of entitlement. But I can understand as somebody who can command a place in the team, yeah, and chances are being seen as the best of that lot, even though I disagree with Warrican, I can understand Warrican's selection.
Basil, let's react now to what the captain had to say, and then we go to the comments of our viewers who are very interested in what they have to say. Here is what Darren Sammy has to say, Basil. I fully endorse disappointment. Our new captain has earned the respect of his peers, understand the responsibility that comes with the role, and has shown leadership qualities. We need to take as shown leadership qualities. We need to take this team forward. I urge fans across the region to rally behind him. We are building something special. And at the start of that last sentence, I too will repeat that. I urge fans across the region, but not only across the region, West Indies supporters, wherever you may be, rally around our captain, because it is a separate issue to support the captain than to give your opinion on what you think. Basil, how do you react to this comment from the West Indies head coach?
I expected this, as I said. I feel in the depth of my belly that Chase was Sammy's pick, right? That was Sammy's pick, and this fraudulent this process they have come up with to name captain was instilled so they could have a cover, right? So my position also, just to say quickly on terms of this whole process, I think that is something you should be doing with players, period, not simply to be captain. That should be part of your analysis of a player, right? So you have that when now you're going to be looking, if you see a player per se to talk about being captain or
That
so
that
on,
that
you have it
that is,
there. Yeah, you
it's
have it there.
been an
Yes,
ongoing process.
it's
Do
in
I
the, it's in their files, so to speak.
Yeah, do I how you react to Darren Sammy comment?
You know, this is one of the better comments from Darren Sammy. This is totally unlike the foolishness he said when he appointed Shea Hope as captain and told us about all the excellence of Hope and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, and we all knocked him for that. And we said, listen, we know that you're trying to stand behind your pick and team, but stop throwing unnecessary gas into the flames. Just stop that. And this one is more measured. He's saying our new, look at his words. He's saying our new captain has earned the respect of his peers. We can't argue with that. Understands the responsibility that comes with the role. We can't argue with that. And has shown leadership qualities. Yes, he has shown some leadership qualities. Who won't despite? Who won't tell that? And he then go on to urge fans to rally behind the choice. It's a really conservative statement by Sammy Standard. But everybody knows that. I just think that for Chase to do well, and listen, at the end of the show, just like Carlton, I'll rally behind him. This is the only show. During the show, I'm making my personal feelings clear. At the end of the show, I'll rally behind him like everybody else. But for Chase to do well, Chase is a wish selection. It's a wish selection. We have to see a 180-degree change in form and trajectory of this player for him to excel in the role. That's as simple as this. It's not like the days that us selecting a player and we say, we know that he'll be a mainstay in the team. This player has shown a record of performance. We really want him to step up in terms of leadership. We have seen glimpses of it before. With Chase, we have seen a guy who just looked at the end of when he was dropped, just didn't look like he belonged in Test cricket at the point that he was dropped the last time. All right, and has not done anything to change my view of that. So we will need to see that 100% change in his performance for him to do as well as Sammy wants. But then again, we all know what some people think, that Sammy simply wants the captain that he wants because the real leader of the team is Darren Sammy.
Thank you very much. When I last checked the live poll, it was 42% either way. 15% of the respondents said that they understand the selection. So if you put that 15 on the 42 that said yes, you will get 57. So I think that more persons are leading in the direction of Roston Chase. I am not for his selection, but I think I come under that understand bracket. Now, here's what. Good morning, everyone. Merrick Meredith, Matt Pryor, Juna Benjamin. I saw all of you. I can't call the name, but I saw every name, but I saw all of you. And I'm glad that you are here. There are over 100 comments. I cannot read all of them. And I think by the time we go through the comments, that other persons will be making comment. Because once we start the comment, that's when they really started to flow in. I am not in favor of any player walking into the team, Basil, and being handed the captaincy when he has been inactive in that format for years. How do you respond, Basil?
Repeat that question. I was distracted.
I am not in favor of any player walking into any team and being handed the captaincy when he has been inactive in that format for years?
Well, I would remind that person historic. I always like to show history. Carl Hooper had not played Test cricket for 2 years. He didn't even play anywhere around regional cricket, and he came back into the West Indies team as captain. So and let's look
What I
at
put to you, Basil, not because it happened before, it doesn't mean that it should
no
become
No,
the
no,
norm.
no.
no
What
no
player is that?
no
Who you said? Carl Hooper?
yeah no wait, let me finish.
No, no. You mean the same Hooper that made those record runs in regional cricket before he came back in the team?
No, but here the point is,
Just checking if it's the same player.
Carl, Carl Hooper had not played. No, the person is saying somebody. You heard the question, Chato.
But he
The
didn't walk
question.
back in. He didn't walk back in. He
No,
played. He put up monster runs
no.
during regional before he came back in
Yeah,
the team.
but the point is he had not played Test cricket for 2 years and came back into the team as captain. We're not talking about just coming to the team. He came back into the team as captain. That is the pertinent point. Not so much as a player. Carnival, based on his performance when he returned to regional cricket, of course, tick the box to get a recall to the team. But the question is asking here, somebody who has not played for a while and comes back into the team as captain. And I might add, Carl Hooper was averaging 33 at the time of his return. And because of his excellent batting as captain, he raised his average to the higher 30s and he averaged 46 as captain.
Well, we'd love for a batsman averaging 36 now, don't we, Dwight?
Of course, of course, of course.
Dwight, tell me, this is Stephen Roach, who is always here with us, and I know you'll be here with us Wednesday morning because it is now becoming an active time in West Indies cricket, and I'll be doing as many watch along as possible. And Stephen Roach is someone that is always here. He's saying that Chase didn't show any captaincy awareness when he was playing Test cricket. So, how come he's now showing captaincy when he has not played Test cricket for 2 years?
Can I say something to
No,
that?
it's Dwight has to respond.
Oh, okay.
But you
All
did,
right.
you did respond just
The
now.
person specifically talking about Test cricket or the longer format of the game.
Test
I know
cricket.
that Chase would have captained Barbados, I think, on a couple of occasions. And more so, he captained at several white ball teams. He was the captain in a couple of the best of the best team matches, I think, that they had. I think he was. All right. So I think those are the things that they used to look at to try to push this thing of him having captaincy credentials. I don't think it's a lot, but that's just my opinion on it.
Is Dwight, and this is from Matt Pryor, is Warrican being named vice captain is a bigger issue than Chase being named captain?
Warrican being named vice captain is zero. Literally, no, not even zero. -29. It's of no relevance whatsoever. I don't think it's an issue at all. All right. We are not watching the vice captain. All right. We are really the fortunes of the team will change, not on Warrican's selection as vice captain. It will change on whether or not Chase can, one, command a place in the team and justify his place in the team, and two, excel as captain of that team. Those are the most important things. Warrican being named vice captain, that's just something that we can sort of not get too caught up in. But as I said already, I can understand as Warrican being promoted to some sort of senior leadership, and it could have just been something to try to show some amount of objectivity in the process that we all believe that myself and Basil believe was flawed to begin with, and that could have just been done to show, hey, look here, we have a player like Warrican who nobody expect, but the system turned him up as being one of the better selections, and it's a player that commands a place in the team.
So you agree with my conspiracy theory, Basil? Let us pick up yourself. No, I'm asking your next question, Basil, but I just call your name because we don't want two answers for the same question, because
All right.
we want to get through as many comments as possible. Big up yourself, Christopher Bristol, who think that Chase was the right choice, was a good choice because he's experienced in all format. But DJ Fathead Basil is saying, let's be honest, this is a solid choice. He's holding down the team until Imlock or Da Silva cements themselves in the team. To make any of them captain now might ruin their careers. I know you agree with the first part. React to the second part of that for me. You want me to go?
I tend to agree with what he's saying because I look, my expectations of Chase being captain is not to be there for 10 years or even 5 years. My view is cycles because we have these two-year test cycles, right? And I Chase may be captain for 1 2 year period because in my view that would give adequate time to other young players within the West Indies setup who may be viewed as future captains to continue to develop their leadership skills, their captaincy skills, as well as cement their performances more consistently. Because another guy I think could be in the mix is Alec Atenes from the Windward Islands. He's been captain in the Windward Islands for 3 years. So that's another guy that could be within the next 2 years or so. We can when it's time come around, we could say, oh, we got all these other guys here, solid candidates for the captaincy.
Yes, someone did mention that Atane should be the captain. But this is from Caris 87. We comparing Clive Light to Roston Chase in terms of captaincy experience. Before captaining West Indies, Clive Light was a stalwart in the West Indies team before giving the job. Chase was dropped after averaging 20s.
You sure I'm the right person to take that question?
Yes,
that should be a bad question. Because everybody knows my view. Everybody knows my view. I've said already, and I told that to Basil last time we spoke, that Clive Lloyd was a fixture within the West Indies cricket team. Don't tell me about the tour before, how poorly he did. He was a fixture within the West Indies team. He was playing very well. And so transitioning to Clive Lloyd, who did not have a lot of captaincy experience before, I don't have a problem with that. Roston Chase, totally different thing. This man comes in the team, and the first question you have to ask is this the end of Holder, Jason Holder? Because we can't have so many all-rounders playing in this team, and I don't think he's among the best batsmen in the Caribbean right now. All right, is this the end of it? Will Greaves have to sit down and wait and all of that? So there's a whole thing about him fitting in the team, along with the questions that we have that this man was floundering, was struggling for form to stay in the team. So I agree with the person. I question the selection.
The thing about it, Dwight, and you raise a good point there as I look at it. This interview was a very high-stake interview, because the winner of this interview, which turns out to be Chase, therefore that means that Greaves' test career might well be over, especially that Chase is not a man who get injured very easily. We hardly heard of Roston Chase being injured. But Basil, Mr. Casanova is asking you, who is Chase going to replace in the top 6? Where, if not in the top 6, who is he going to replace in the bowling lineup? Effectively, where will Chase fit in this team? That's Mr. Casanova.
Carty is out. I don't have to go for it. Carty is out.
Carty was out of the team before the second test match.
Carty was in Pakistan.
Carty was out of the team before the second test match, and everybody had known that when he was dropped for the second test match, that was it for him. So he was out, and Django came in the team.
Well, Django would be out.
Oh, okay, all
right. Whomever was that place, they both of them out.
Okay. What about the bowling? Because you haven't answered the bowling. That means that both
well, let me give you all an interesting stat, because Carlton talk about strike rate. Chase strike rate is 79, and I will let Carlton know something. The greatest West Indies off spinner, one Lance Gibbs, his strike rate is 87. So let me pump the brakes on this strike rate business.
No, but Basil, And that is why some persons have difficulty with stats. Because you heard that there's statistics, there's damn statistics, and I won't use the other word.
Mm-hmm.
Cricket have evolved from when Gibbs was an off spinner. When Gibbs was off spinner, 100 strike rate for off spinner was acceptable. It is no longer acceptable, Basil. The cricket has evolved past that. And in fact, Chase strike rate in his last 10 matches is 105. But we don't want we have
No, I need to address this because there's nuance. Chase is not ever been picked in the West Indies team in the same role as an off spinner, attacking bowler, wicket taker, match winning bowler, as
when
Lance Gibbs was.
Number 8 in Australia.
Yeah, but still Chase,
You said never.
No. Are you telling me Chase was picked in the team to be one of the leading wicket takers in our team?
That's at number 8. Why was he picked then? Number 8 is a specialist bowler position.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that specialist bowler is role. Is that role means he is to be the match winning bowler?
All right.
Sometimes a spinner is picked in the team to be the guy who's gonna hold the end.
No, Basil. All I'm interested in is what you said today. You believe that he's been selected as a specialist bat. You don't believe that?
No.
You said Django's out.
Yes.
Because so he's been selected as a specialist bat.
No, Chase is going to bat in the top 6. He's going to bat in the top 6.
No, not top 6. If Django is out, he's been selected as a specialist batsman. That's what you said.
The top 6 is specialist batsman.
Top 5.
No. Gary Sobers batted 6. You want to say he was not a specialist batsman? Batted 6.
Go ahead.
Come on, man.
Basil, and we accept everyone's opinions here, and I would like to read this, and I want you to react to it, Basil. Albert Matthews is saying, Basil, you may be well-meaning, but using Jesus Christ's name in a light manner is not considered Christ's exalted nature and a disrespect to God's name. Let's be careful in our words, Basil. How do you react?
I respect his opinion, and let me just tell him I'm not a Christian, right? I respect his opinion, but I think he needs to be a little bit more understanding and understand the context, because I am saying such a revered person, somebody of all these things according to the stories, then to be the captain of this team still would not make get the results we wanting. That is the context it was used. So my friend, don't take it personally.
Dwight, this is for you, Dwight. I want your feedback here. And the person is saying, I think Stephen Rhodes is saying that he would have rather gone back to Jason Holder than to select Roston Chase as a captain.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, to begin with, everything that Jason Holder has presented has shown that he's on a different pathway in terms of his career and what he's looking at. His focus is to amass enough, Jason, please don't sue me, to amass enough money by playing as many T20 tournaments so that he can retire well. And if the cricket comes up, if the test cricket comes up and he's in the mood and he's fit enough and thing, he'll go and he'll do that. But he's definitely not going to step back into leadership. I don't think he has a hunger and desire. I think you need to have to excel in that position. I think he had a bad experience the last time, and that sour taste is still in his mouth. I would not look in the direction of Jason Holder.
Yeah,
but to be fair to Jason publicly said he was available.
No, Basil, Dr. Doom and Gloom is saying that we all have good cricket knowledge, but he wants more information than eating the place. But this is for you, Mr. Basil, from Mr. Casanova. It is coming from Mr. Casanova 1. If John Campbell was selected as captain, would it have been be surprising as the Chase selection Dwight, Basil.
No. For full disclosure, my first choice after looking at Campbell, captain during the regional tournaments after Bradford thing, I said John Campbell my pick, but I saw the impediments to him getting selected because one, the optics, people would say, "Oh, this guy just coming off a ban," and secondly, the situation that happened in Trinidad with the 50 over tournament. Those two things. I said to myself, despite the fact I was in favor, I would have no problem with John Campbell being the captain. From what I saw, would have been a bridge too far to cross in terms of the media and public relations, etc. Right? And after that, thinking of looking at that, and actually I expressed this publicly. I then said, looking at the rest of the people around, and that's how I came up with Chase. So no, I
Thank you.
got Campbell.
Thank you very much. Basil, as we lost Dwight there, probably was getting a call. Without being captain, would Chase make this team? Roston Wilson is asking you, Basil.
Yeah, I think Chase could definitely make this team without being captain.
I have a question from Fidel da Silva that I want to ask Dwight. So I'm waiting on him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Basil, Erwin Shillingford dominate Barbados. This is coming from Sherwin, and he never made the team. But then again, he was not a batsman. So yes, it's too.
No. Erwin Shillingford is a batsman.
Sorry. One more. Yes, sorry, I'm mixing up with Shane. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, no. I Sherwin. Don't argue about Erwin Shillingford with me. I've exhausted that subject. He never dominated Barbados. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And a batsman. I will give you a name of a batsman since we waited into White, who went to Barbados and made hundreds more than once from Jamaica. One Herbert Chang, and he got one measly tour, right? And Chang, to me, I don't know why the reason Chang did not get another shot. Maybe because the West Indies team was the middle order was so packed up. But Herbert Chang went into Barbados and did the business.
Yeah.
Not once, twice.
But Basil, I think someone was making the comment. I think Fidel da Silva is saying that John Campbell would never get the captaincy because he's from the wrong country. Do you agree?
Nah, not at all. I don't know how people factor those things in. And you know something? Let me just remind that same person who made the comment. Warrican as vice captain. Warrican is not Bajan, Warrican is a Vincentian who grew up in Barbados.
Yes. So it appears that Dwight is back with us.
Maybe it's internet. There
he's having some internet challenges. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The champion is saying the top 6 specialist batsmen, some countries can make it work with 5. Is it that Chase now is more being seen as an all-rounder more than just a specialist batsman, Basil?
Look, the top 6 is always the batting positions.
Okay.
It's never been different. I mean, Clive Lloyd batted at 6. Carl, when he came back as captain, batted at 6. The great Sir Garfield Sobers also batted at 6. So I don't know what this person is talking about. 6 batsmen, and then you keep on your 4 bowlers, and you often get an all-rounder who can bat at 6.
But Basil, and you know that we have to bring up this, because Stephen Roach think that I absolutely smoked you this morning. So have to
All right.
You don't have to pick up this. Do I have an internet issue? So we have been here for quite a little while now, Basil, more than an hour and a half. So Basil, at this time, I'm going to ask you to give your final comment.
I think we had a spirited discussion this morning. I am firmly in the agreeing, not necessarily with the process, agreeing that Chase is the person at this time in West Indies cricket history to take the reins as captain. I wish Chase all the best and the West Indies team all the best in their upcoming series against Australia. And let's see how it shakes out with Chase's leadership. Because choosing somebody as captain, you can have all the boxes ticked and all those various things that for what your criteria is to choose that person. But the proof is always going to be in the pudding when they actually are in the hot seat, in the battle. You will see. It's the same thing with selection. None of these things are exact sciences, right? Because as I said earlier, people could have looked at a Clive Lloyd, his attributes and all those various things, his batting and all those various things, unlimited captaincy. But what they saw something in this individual, and he turned out to be an excellent captain, albeit also he had excellent players to manage.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Basil. I am happy that West Indies is putting in a structured process to select their captain. Whether I agree with this particular process or not is not what I'm discussing here. But the attempt or the appearance to give us the impression that you are putting in a subjective process that one can look at trends going forward to select our captain, I applaud it. Whether it is wrong or whether it is right, you guys are put there to lead West Indies cricket at this time, and you must make decisions. And so I am happy. Now the question though, and what I ask of you to do, Cricket West Indies, is not to give us half of the information. I said it earlier in the show. Please provide us with the full instrument so that we can have full confidence in the process. We are not asking you for the questions. We are not asking you for the answers of the players. What we are asking you is for the instrument and how many marks attached to each item. That's all we are asking, not for the players' answers. So in the future, we all know what you are doing, Cricket West Indies. I would not have chosen Roston Chase as a captain. In fact, none of those 6 guys were on my radar. I've said it before. My choice would have been Alzarri Joseph first and foremost. If Cricket West Indies didn't decide to go with Alzarri Joseph, I think that they should have gone with Kemar Roach and made someone like Tevin Imlach his deputy. That's the way I think they should have gone. I voiced my opinions. I gave my feedback. And for the 1% of you who in the chat who probably not living in Jamaica, so you do not know that there's freedom of expression in this country, and trying to tell us we must just support, I must say to you again, we support Chase full-heartedly, but that doesn't prevent us from expressing our opinions, and we do that in Jamaica. So if you are from some other country where that is not allowed, I'm sorry, but in Jamaica, we are allowed to express our opinion. I love my children dearly. I love them. It doesn't prevent me, though, from correcting them. When they were younger, it didn't prevent me from using the rod of correction, and I gave them full support. And so we support Chase, but it doesn't prevent us from voicing our opinion. And in closing, I said, rally around the West Indies cricket team. Thank you for being here. I know that many of you may be frustrated with us for not reading your questions or not responding to you, but you will agree that this was a very hot topic this morning, and we have been here for more than an hour and a half. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. And tomorrow morning, just about the same time, I'll be back to picking the West Indies playing 11 for the first match against England on Wednesday, and the first match against England against Ireland on Wednesday. Yes, West Indies will be playing 2 matches on Wednesday in the United Kingdom. I'll be picking those playing 11 tomorrow. Maybe then I can also answer some of your questions that you posted today. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you, Basil, for being here. It was a pleasure once more. Godspeed. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones.